Welcome to another edition of the Real Estate Talk Show. My name is Simon Giannini, and we're here to talk about Florida real estate. Now, there's lots of attention in the media right now about Florida real estate, and rather than give you a lot of conjecture, I contacted one of our go-to people. David Bedrosian is the Florida real estate expert. Now, what I like about David is that he is a Torontonian. He lives here, but he actually lives in two places. So, David, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you for having me.
Now, David, you live a couple of weeks of the year here, a couple of weeks of the month here, rather, and a couple of weeks of the month where in Florida?
In Orlando, Florida. Actually, I've been living in Orlando, Florida for approximately the last 11 years, and it just seems that opposite to what snowbirds do, I tend to spend most of my time in the winter months here in Toronto, about 2 to 3 weeks out of the month.
And some might call you crazy, but crazy like a fox, because you become the go-to guy for Canadians buying in Florida, because you understand both the Canadians in the market and you also understand what's going on in Florida real estate.
That's
now, yeah. So again, lots of stuff in the media. Whether you're reading the paper, with your cup of coffee on Sunday morning, or you're seeing this stuff online, or you're getting by email, there's certainly no shortage of so-called facts and information about what's going on in the U.S. market and the real estate market in general. So I wanted to do this segment to cut through the clutter, as it were, and try to give people some straightforward facts about what's going on in the Florida market. So, David, do you want to take us through this? This is a little bit of a summary, and thanks again to David for providing us a lot of the facts and figures that we're going to share with you today. But, David, what is going on in the U.S. market now?
Well, the truth is the housing market is about 50 to 70% below where it was from the top of the market. But, that's not a real true sense of value. The fact is you're purchasing a number of the properties available to you at 30 to 40% below replacement cost. So 6 bricks, steel, that's the real value and the measure of what kind of buying power you really have today. Your Canadian dollar is at par with the U.S. dollar. Interest rates are really low. In some cases, as low as 2.75% in the United States.
So similar to what we're seeing right here right now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The unfortunate part is, unlike 2 years ago, you definitely have a shortage of inventory in the market, and that's something that I really like to stress with you here. But the most important thing is, I'm not telling you don't buy here in Toronto or anywhere else in Canada, but maybe diversify. Your buying power and the States will allow you to maybe purchase 2 or 3 properties for the same amount of money as you would one here in GTA.
Sure, and I think I think you bring up a really good point, and we're going to dive into a lot of these points in a little bit more detail. But I think the Florida market offers an opportunity for 2 different buyers. A, somebody that really can't afford to get into the type of property they want in the Toronto market, because we're going to be showing you examples of properties that you can buy for cash with $60,000 and $70,000. Which you certainly can't do. We can't even buy a parking spot in some buildings in Toronto for that. But it's also an opportunity for those that are already invested in the Toronto market to diversify. And certainly, when you see the stats, you're going to have to agree with us that the time is now to invest, and really there's nowhere to go but up with the U.S. market. So let's just dive into it. Now, we're going to tell you a little bit more about this at the end of the show. But what I like about David's operation is that David, you've really put together an excellent team from beginning to end, from acquisition to legals to insurance management and so on. You've got the people on the ground that can help people, because that's the biggest challenge is understanding it, because, folks, Google is not your research and development department. And yes, you could probably hit Google and find property, and you might even find a few agents. How many agents are there in the Florida market, by the way, David?
A lot. It seems like everybody is an agent today.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Toronto market. Most people don't know, for example, there's almost 40,000 realtors in the Toronto market alone. And when you figure that the population of Florida is, what's the population of Florida now?
Well, you have over 18.5 million people in one state. That's more than half of the population of all of Canada.
Yeah, so I got to figure that, if they have, 6 times our population, they're probably going to have 100,000 realtors. So it's not difficult to find a realtor. It's not difficult to find an insurance broker. The challenge is, how do you find the right people? And, David's done the homework for us and assembled a team of people that our clients have been happy with, and that obviously you're happily working with, because if you're not happy working with them, you stop working with them. So we'll tell you more about how to get access to that Rolodex of experts, as it were. But, David, tell us again, what's going on specifically. Let's drill down to the numbers now, hard facts.
The truth is, Florida will always be a great destination to visit. It will always be a great place for people retiring, moving down to warmer climates. It's a 2.5-hour flight down from Toronto, and we have the largest coastal mileage than any other state in all of America. As I mentioned before, you have over half the population of Canada in one state, and I mean some of the greatest beaches and entertainment facilities such as Disney and Universal and cruise ship terminals, just to name a few.
No state income tax. I like that.
And that's the main reason why a lot of headquarters for a lot of corporations choose Florida as a place to live, as well as a lot of celebrities. You know, your Tiger Woods, Vince Carter, they all have their primary residences in Florida.
And for a reason. So, you know, obviously there's a lot of different areas. Let's start the discussion with, you know, South Florida and, of course, the Miami market and so on. What's going on down there? I think this chart kind of says it all.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, in 2005-06, they had built over 17,500 condos in the downtown core. And, you know, when the market crashed in 2008 and 2009, we used to drive down a lot of these buildings and only see a portion of the lights turned on in the building. A lot has changed since then. You know, Miami is definitely a cosmopolitan city. It's a hub or an entry point into the Americas. It's a place that a lot of South Americans love visiting, and as a result of that, have gobbled up a lot of the inventory that's available. You know, about 90% from the top of the market has been eaten up. That's less than 2,000 units available to purchase in the Miami area.
So, and I think that probably goes against what most people imagine, because, you know, I talk to people here and they imagine that they're going to, you know, go to Florida and see, you know, a choice of thousands of them, and you can offer 10 cents on the dollar and buy something. And I think that's really not the case. And when we talk about Miami proper, downtown Miami, I mean, this is here's a 20-block area that rivals areas of New York, and you know, obviously the Toronto Harborfront kind of comes to mind. But lots of development in one you know, key area.
Absolutely.
But let's break it down. I mean, obviously there's a lot of different choices. You can buy traditional condos, but what's another option for people that look for Miami? And I'm guessing that if you want to be in Miami, you want to be in the action. It's either for a younger investor or for the young at heart, I guess, that don't want to be in a quiet place, but want to be in the heart of all the action.
Absolutely, and Miami is great for one reason. It's a cosmopolitan city. It is the #1 turnaround city in the United States. In many cases, we've even seen appreciation upwards of 25% to 30% in a lot of the developments. The first one that we saw in the previous slide is a 50-story condo right across from the American Airlines Arena, just minutes away from South Beach, for example, with all of the amenities that you can enjoy just within the same complex here.
Mm-hmm.
And this, for example, is a new project that we have coming up for a lot of you that would like to maybe use a place for a week at a time. You can opt to have your condo as well in, sorry,
so
in
this is a hotel condo?
Absolutely. It's a hotel condo right on the water.
So like the concierge and the restaurant and all of the amenities that you would expect in a hotel kind of thing?
Absolutely, and you can possibly rent this unit out on a daily or weekly basis depending on what you would like.
Yeah, it certainly looks like an incredible location. Now, I'm guessing at the top of the page, that's the Atlantic.
Absolutely.
And on the bottom of the photo.
Sorry, yes, and it's in a very familiar area that a lot of Canadians know. It's in the Hollywood area just south of Fort Lauderdale. So right in between Fort Lauderdale and Miami, so you have access to all these great locations and amenities that these areas offer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so obviously Miami's a destination, and this is you know, this is the place my kids are bugging me to go to. Obviously Orlando is you know, 50 million visitors a year, which is, you know, surpassing New York and Vegas. But you know, what's going on there? Obviously a good population growth, but what else can you tell us about the Orlando market as a reason for investing there?
Well, Orlando is basically, it should really be the capital of Florida. It has the most amount of visitors. We have over 144,000 hotel rooms over here, second largest convention center in America. There's a lot of hustle and bustle going on. There's a lot of corporate headquarters that have moved to this area to take advantage of, you know, this great population that we have, as well as it being in the central part of the state. If you look at the inventory in Orlando, you could see at the height of the market, or just before the crash, we had close to 26,000 units of inventory in MLS. It's just a matter of time before the inventory decreased from 26,000 to less than 8,000 units in inventory in our current market today. So once again, very strong seller's market, not a whole lot of inventory to choose from.
Now, I just to give our listeners a comparison, when we compare Orlando to the Toronto market, I would say it's fairly similar in population. And in terms of the Toronto market, we had record sales last year of about 28,000 new condos. So when we look at inventories of 8,000, we're talking about, you know, 1/5 or one quarter of what we saw in the Toronto market in terms of inventory here. So obviously the supply has really come down. And I'm guessing in Orlando, you know, we've still got a lot of different choice in terms of traditional condos and so on. But let's talk about, you know, we get a lot of calls, people asking for, you know, what about a gated community in a good location where, you know, we can eventually use it for retirement, but I want something newer. And Regency is certainly one of those that you recommend, I understand.
Well, there's a number of them to choose from here, and just to kind of recommend a few in the area. From looking at a lower price point unit here, you're looking at condos that are ranging from about $62,000 to just shy of $95,000. 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms here. They're close to a number of the amenities. Great features, you know, fountains, swimming pools, jacuzzis, spas, tennis courts. I mean, a lot of the lifestyle features that you would look for. These properties are 100% rented, as well as have some really great incentives to offer in way of developer incentives, and they come, you know, with great standard features as well too. You're looking at 18 months of developer rental guarantee and 18 months of property management also provided by the developer here. In essence, you know, we provide these.
So when you say rental guarantee, let me just stop you there. You say 18 months rental guarantee means they rent it?
Yeah, the units are already rented. So if you have any downtime in your rental, the developer will be paying you the difference for any months that the units are not rented. However, the property as it stands right now is 100% rented. If there's any vacancies, it's because there's a tenant leaving and a new one coming in.
So really, that's why the developer really has no qualms giving you a guarantee, because he knows, hey, I got them rented, I can guarantee it, just to appease Canadians who are, you know, typically conservative and a little chicken. But let's look at the typical cash flow. So here's what I would call sort of an entry-level purchase. We're talking about a 2-bedroom, 900 square feet. The price is $82,000.
And it's less than $100 a square foot.
Yeah, which is ridiculous when you compare to $500 a foot average in Toronto. But let's look at real numbers, because value to me, the asking price to me is nothing unless you look at the numbers, and this is what impresses me. We've got rent of $863, which means we've got a monthly cash flow positive of $500 and an annual profit of $6,000, which is a 7.5% ROI. Now, this is a cash purchase, correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Now, in some cases, I understand you can get financing, but this is one of the cases because it's brand new product. You can't easily get financing. And is it a function of price too?
Let me just kind of reiterate here. It is it's new to the market, but it's not a brand new product. They're actually condo conversions that were built in the late 80s, early 90s with regards to this.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, you actually have just slightly lower rents here and slightly lower price points than the next project that we're going to be featuring.
Okay.
But yes, new to the market.
New to the market. Now, can you share with us, you know, why some projects would have financing and others won't?
Well, in some cases, the developer, in terms of an incentive, would like to give Canadians, because they believe, and it's true as a matter of fact, that they're solid investors. You know, they have the backing. In many cases, a lot of people do have equity that they can borrow against, and they're just giving them a greater incentive to possibly purchase more than one unit at a time as well, too.
Okay. So, and the other thing, I guess, really, when we talk about financing, is that in most cases, Canadians that are coming down have equity in their home, and it's probably a little easier for them to just simply get a home equity line, take the money out, which, you know, we're paying probably 3.5% interest on it, interest only, and pay cash for this. It's probably the simplest approach, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about another project. Here's Milan, also close to Disney World and Universal and all of this stuff.
It sits in the northeast part of the city, has all the great amenities here. You're about 20-25 minutes from a lot of the parks, great community features. This is a gated community, you know, your typical gym facility, swimming pool. The units are very well finished, stainless steel appliances. And, you know, some features you may expect and some features you may not expect. So, for example, a car wash facility or kids playing room as well, too. So very family-oriented, great place for grandparents to play with their kids and families to take care of them as well, too, and keep them entertained.
So slightly newer project. And
yes,
slightly higher.
2,000.
Yeah, slightly bigger units I see here, too.
Absolutely.
You know, from 850 to 1,300.
Absolutely. And but I mean, at the same time, the rents and the the condo fees also warrant the change because you're still getting that same kind of return here as well too. And we've actually come to offer your clients the same incentives as we have with the last project as well too, which is 18 months of rental guarantee as well as 18 months of property management covered by the developer.
Mm-hmm. So there's no commissions, there's no cost for repairs, it's all handled, it's all included. It really is turnkey, and I think that's, you know, what a lot of people are looking for, because, you know, we live in Toronto, we can't just fly down to Florida to deal with a broken dishwasher and don't want to be dealing with it virtually. So that's nice to know, and I think it's probably a good solution for a lot of people.
The objective for us has always been to understand the mindset of exactly what a Canadian wants and be able to facilitate it as best as possible. And the only way to do that is to allow a Canadian, as best as possible, a headache-free armchair investment where if they have an issue, they can call the property management directly and not have to get their hands dirty and their feet wet, so to speak.
Yeah, so here's the numbers, kind of similar to the last one, slightly bigger unit. I know, this is a good size, I think, 1,100 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 99.9. It's just crazy when I see these numbers because it's just hard to put into context. But, you know, you're paying slightly more, but you're getting slightly more rent. You're getting a slightly higher net profit, and with a cash purchase, you're getting 7.6%. And that, to me, is as good as locked in as, from what I can see, and certainly a lot better than what a lot of people have been getting on their RSP for sure. Now, let's talk about Daytona. And if you don't know where Daytona is, it's basically just east of Orlando on the coast.
I'd like to call it Orlando's beach because it's the closest beach that we have to Orlando.
Yeah, no, I've got friends in Orlando, and every time we visit them in Orlando, we make sure we jump over to Daytona, put our toes in the Atlantic Ocean. You know, 23 miles of beaches, 8 million visitors. You know, the same kind of numbers we're seeing in terms of corporate centers being there, universities. And of course, you know, the whole racing culture with the Daytona 500 and everything else.
And
but let's talk about let's talk about the numbers here. Now, this is a smaller market, but again, I think we're seeing the same numbers. No inventory. 2,900 in 2004, 8 years ago, now shrunk to less than 400, I believe, as of September, October.
That is correct. Yeah, that is correct.
You know,
but the difference here is, you know, versus a lot of the other projects that you have a really great project that's right on the Intercoastal Waterway here, as you can see in this picture. It's 1 mile away from the Atlantic Ocean. You can literally walk over the bridge and get to the beach here.
So you're not on the ocean, but you're looking over the waterway.
Yes, you're looking over the waterway, which is the Intercoastal.
Yeah.
And right behind the building onto the left is a 32-slip marina, which you can park your boat there as well too. Mm-hmm. And this building really offers some fantastic amenities. The space over to the left-hand side is now a $6 million expansion, which is a 11,000 square feet clubhouse with a 10,000 square feet swimming pool as well too, that has some great features inside: banquet facilities, billiards room, yoga facilities, a gym as well, and everything that you can really imagine here. None of the features that you see here are upgrades, with the exception of the flooring in this unit. The units come carpeted. However, if you do want any kind of upgraded flooring, they're available. As far as kitchen appointments and bathroom facilities, they all come standard. So jetted tubs, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances.
It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely. And the best part about it is, if you can imagine, the smallest 2-bedroom unit in here is about 1,660 square feet, which is about twice the size of a 2-bedroom here in Toronto.
Yeah, and again, I mean, just ridiculous prices relative to what we're used to, $112 a square foot. And MG on the Halifax, and just so we're not confused, we're not talking about the east coast of Canada. Halifax is the waterway, correct? The Intercoastal?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so we're not talking about Canada where it's a little colder, folks. We're talking about Halifax in Florida. But again, luxury rentals. Hey, look, this looks like many of the projects we'd see downtown Toronto.
Absolutely. Keep in mind one thing, too. For a lot of the Canadians that would be interested in this property, I'd recommend one of two options here. You can either rent it in terms of a short-term basis, on a month-to-month basis, however you'd need to furnish it, or you could also rent it out on an annual basis, and that way you constantly have a tenant renting your units and you have the income coming to you from day one.
When I see this view, just picturing sitting on the deck, it's hard to imagine you wouldn't want to spend some time down there, but maybe that's where you buy a couple of them, you know, kind of thing. But yeah, fantastic. It looks gorgeous. I mean, it looks like it looks like a high-end hotel spa. It kind of looks like a cruise ship too when you look at the interior.
And that is the theme of the building. That is correct.
Yeah. Fantastic. This has been very helpful. So when we're talking about this one, this is sort of a higher end on the water in Daytona. We're now talking slightly higher prices, but also slightly higher sizes, correct?
Absolutely. But you know what? There's some really great features here as well, too. So you're looking at, 2 to 3 bedrooms, anywhere from just under $200,000 to just under $500,000. And, once again, you're getting 2 years of rental guarantee from the developer, but in this case, they're also paying for 2 years of your condo maintenance as well, too. So that's a really great incentive for you to really kind of take advantage of the income in the first couple of years as well, too.
But David, I'm guessing this project would probably lean more towards either people that want to use it right away or end users that eventually want to use it.
Absolutely. And in some cases, this building has offered a great mixture of moderate cash flow as well as great opportunity for capital appreciation. It's a brand new building, and it's right on the water, so it'll be very much desired in the future when people would like to repurchase this from you.
And we can buy with 20% down.
Absolutely, 2.75% interest. It's actually one of the great features that we have here, because for very little money, I mean, a $250,000 property as low as $50,000, you can go out and finance this unit outright.
So I put $50,000 down. I've got this beautiful 1,500 square foot unit facing the Atlantic Ocean, and the rental is managed, and it carries itself.
Absolutely.
Over time, I pay off the mortgage. I move in. I light up my cigar, and Bob's your uncle.
Absolutely.
Just to paint the picture. Okay. So, here's an example of the cash flow. Now, look at this. This is, we talked about 250, but here's for 220,000, 1,600 square feet, which we rarely see.
Now, keep in mind one thing. The rental guarantee is based on $1 a square foot, and market rents are, in the vicinity of $1,750 to $2,000 for a 2-bedroom. So you definitely will be getting market rent in year 3, 4 onwards. It's just for this first 2-year period that the developer is matching it based on the square footage available.
So we may actually make more, but this is sort of the minimum guaranteed.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so 20% down, so we're looking at $40,000 and change, and I've got a $4,300 profit at the end of the year, cash on cash, and it's managed. I think we've certainly got some good options, and we're coming to the end of the segment, David. And I want to thank you for being here, but I also want to help our listeners because obviously we don't have the time to take live calls and answer all of your questions, and we get all these questions over and over and over, about the property tax implications for Canadians buying and income tax implications, and what about the difference of homeowners association fees, what Canadians would know as maintenance fees on undisclosed unit, unclosed units, all of these different questions and that people have, which are common. This is where you come in, and I'm going to be a little shameful here, David, and give you a plug and say, look, David's put together a team of advisors on the ground that covers all of this stuff. And if you're serious about buying in Florida, they really handle everything turnkey, everything from how to buy, what to buy, how to make sure the accounting, the taxes, the insurance is all handled. And really step one is to call you, David, and we'll connect you to David and his team. But what would when I call you, if I'm thinking about buying, what happens next?
Well, it's really simple. I'd love, if I'm here in Toronto, to have a one-on-one meeting with you, kind of better understand your needs so that we can kind of gear you in the right process. We can make some arrangements for you to help you book a hotel, a flight. And the most important thing is when you do arrive, you do have a concierge service or level of service available to you. So one of our reps will either pick you up from the airport or from your hotel, will be with you to assist you from your inquiry all the way from Toronto to your closing down in Florida. We're here to more so make you understand what it is that we see with our own eyes versus simply just taking you on a property tour. If there's a beach close by, we're going to throw you outside of the car so you can go and play in the sand and enjoy the water as well too. And if it's anything else that you want to see along the way, whether it's shopping or visit some restaurants or anything else that you need, we're here for you during your stay with us in Florida. The most important thing is we want you to find the property that matches your needs and have fun. Because if you're enjoying your property and if you're enjoying your experience, I know you're going to go out and tell all of your friends and family as well too.
It sounds like you figured it out, and I'm looking forward to my next trip down there. And of course, it's getting colder as we look outside. We're recording this segment of the show in November 2012, and it's really getting cold out there. So I see a lot of people imagining going down there. So again, thanks to David Bedrosian. David, thanks so much. You've been very, very helpful.
No problem.
And folks, for more information and to connect with David and his team, give us a call at our helpline 416-366-9090. Send us an email, info@reccanada.com. We'll connect you with all the right people, get you all your questions answered, and and then all you have to do is invite us to the housewarming. Wouldn't that be nice?
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you in sunny Florida, and I'll be glad to meet you either here in Toronto or down there as well too, to answer any of the questions that you may possibly have.
Thanks again, David. Signing out, this is Simon Giannini with the Real Estate Talk Show, giving you all things real estate. Have an amazing day.